Okay. Spasm. Good to go? Okay. Welcome, everyone. I want to start off with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge, appreciate that the land in which we gather is traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq First Nation, and we have occupied this territory since time immemorial. Call to order. I just want to bring up one item, and it's about the deputy mayor and I attended the Communities in Bloom annual conference in Stratford, Ontario, and we were the winner, the recipient of the 2025 Grand Champions Award. And the photo that you'll see on your screen is what was taken by one of the photographers. Now, I'm the little guy on the left-hand side to that Mountie who's 6'7", but it was a heartfelt thank you to all staff whose dedication and hard work throughout the growing season have earned Charlottetown this prestigious award. Your contributions have elevated our city to the international stage, making it a beautiful and welcoming destination for residents and visitors. And the Grand Champion Award also gave, as I believe, Deputy Mayor 5 blooms, is that what they refer to them as? And earned a special recognition for its climate action plan. So big thanks to the staff for their work. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go with declarations of conflict of interest. Any declarations? Just, okay, then when it comes in the closed session, you'll just, okay. Okay, no others? Do you know what number it is? It's referring to what?
A new application for on Stanmall,
Okay.
Stanmall Drive.
Oh,
That's report number 5.
okay, thank you. So it's under report number 5. Okay, approval of the agenda, moved by the deputy, seconded by Councillor Ramsey. All in favor? Okay, and just to take note, Councillor Bernard is out of the country. Councillor McAleer is out of the country. I believe Councillor Matart will be 15 minutes late. And Councillor Tweel is not with us tonight. He phoned in with a back spasms issues. Okay, adoption of the previous draft minutes of council. You have regular meeting October 14th, 2025. Special meetings October 21st and 28th, 2025. Moved by Councillor Ramsey, second by Councillor Beck. All in favor? Okay. Business arising out of the minutes. Oh, Councillor Beck? Just grab your, yes, sir.
Yeah, just a quick question on page 12. We have results of all our other motions. Do we put results of our, because we do vote on a notice of motion, do we put the results into that? Like it just says council was in favor, council was not in favor, but all our other motions, we have results.
Yeah.
Do we put the results
I was
of
going to ask our clerk, is that all right?
notice of motions?
CAO, do you want to answer?
It's usually just by vote, it's unanimous. At this time, no, but if that's something the council prefers, it can be put in.
Good,
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
okay. Anything else?
So does that would require a procedural bylaw amendment then, would it? What?
Want to give a notice of motion for that?
Worship,
Is it debatable?
Council, back to, we can sort of look that out. I don't think it requires a procedural change, but we can
Yeah.
we can adopt that practice.
Sure.
Can't beat those recorded votes.
I just think for consistency,
Yeah.
for if we're doing it, because we do vote, so. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. And then, if you look at our next item on the agenda, it is council inquiries to be taken under consideration. So you're going to ask, okay, Councillor Beck, can you just buzz in there? Thank you.
I guess there's two things I would ask just to be considered. One would be for emergency protective services, if we could get an update on any vacant abandoned properties. We haven't had any of that in a while. If we could just have a list or an understanding of where we are with any of those. I think it's been a little bit, about a year probably since we last, maybe about a year since we last talked about it. So if we could have, if that could be added to the next committee meeting or provided as an update for council at some point in time.
So could I add, you're looking at dilapidated properties too, right?
Yes,
Dilapidated?
abandoned and unsightly properties.
Thank you.
Yeah, just so, we used to get kind of an update. We haven't had much of an update on that in a while, and be good to know where we're at with those.
Duly noted?
The other thing is we had a discussion on a committee of the whole, and it was going to go back to, I believe, strategic priorities, I'm not sure. But we were discussing that, we discussed that maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 council meetings ago, and I'm just wondering where we're at with that. I think staff was going to look at it to see whether it's feasible or what could be done or that sort of thing. So I'm not sure where that ended up, if it's on strategic priorities or whoever it is, if we could maybe give us an update on that as well too.
CEO, do you want to respond to that, sir?
I don't need an answer now, just
That will follow up.
an update at some point in time. Thanks.
Councillor McKinnon?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to follow up to Councillor Beck's first question, I know we had brought it up past, it was regarding unsightly properties, but the property that's on Kirkwood and Queen was boarded up by the fire department and set, and then a new roof went in, and we asked the question, does the date reset or whatever? So can we get an update on that one as well?
Thank you. I think the clock started ticking on that back a number of months ago. And just to refresh some of councillors' memories on procedural bylaw, section 5, subsection 7.8, council inquiries means questions or requests from members made during a regular monthly meeting of council seeking information or updates from administration where the subject matter is not contained in the meeting package, which was done by both Councillors McKinnon and Beck. These inquiries are not intended for discussion or debate, but are to be taken under consideration by our administration. That's it? I have to, we're going to be moving into a closed session regarding a particular item. I just want to mention that the deputy mayor has asked that, these should be at the end of the meeting, the regular monthly meeting. But deputy mayor, as I said to the deputy, the reason we're doing this because of the urgency to get this through council, and she agreed that let's try to do this at the end of the meetings, or closed meetings. So I need someone to move by Councillor Ramsey, second by the deputy, to go into closed session, and I'm just going to read it off. Motion to move into a closed session, section 119, subsection 1D, human resource matters, including labor relations or employee negotiations. And the issue is union matters in regards to QP 830. So, all in favor? Okay. So I have to ask anyone that is in the gallery that you would have to Invite Councillor McKinnon back in. Yeah, but he has to declare a conflict of interest in the open session. That's rules of order, rules of engagement. Yeah. So, just stand up and just hit your mic. We're going to vote on the two resolutions that you have to declare conflict of interest. So we're open the session.
I don't know what you're asking.
Okay, here's what it is. If you look at your agenda, it says business arising from the closed session. We have two resolutions, two human resource resolutions that came from our closed meeting. You have to declare, just turn your mic on and you're in a conflict of interest. No,
Not
it's
vote.
public record.
All right, I declare a conflict of interest.
Okay, thank you. See you later. We'll call you back. Okay. Ready to read it?
Thank you, Your Worship. Human Resources Resolution Number 1, moved by Councillor Norman Beck and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Let it be resolved that the City of Charlottetown accept the draft Canadian Union of Public Employees QP 830 Collective Agreement, January 1st, 2023 through to December 31st, 2026, as per the attached documents, effective November 12th, 2025.
Questions called? All in favor? Okay. 5-0. Councillor McKinnon is in conflict, and we have 3 councillors out of chamber. Next resolution.
Human Resources Resolution Number 2, Your Worship, moved by Councillor Norman Beck and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Let it be resolved the Council approves the additional utility foreman permanent position within QP 830, and the Council approves the attached water and sewer stations field supervisor job description and creation of the new permanent position within UPSI. And the Council approves the additional GIS coordinator permanent position within the management non-union.
Questions called? All those in favor? Okay. Take note that Councillor McKinnon was in conflict of interest. Councillors Bernard, Councillor McAleer, and Councillor Tweel are absent. So can we just call him back in? Councillor McKinnon, you probably can see he's on the TV. Just come right back in. Okay, let's go back through to the business. Okay, standing committees. Planning and Development. Deputy Mayor Yankoff.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Affordable Housing Committee has not met since our last regular meeting of council. Planning and Heritage Committee also has not met since our last meeting. Planning Board has met on November 4th. Heritage Board met on November 5th. The Design Board met on November the 5th as well. And all of those packages and minutes are in your package. You'll also see the permits as of year to date, as of the end of October. And just a few highlights that I'll just reiterate, even though they're very similar to last month. Just again, we're still working on our zoning and development bylaw, moving along, and we expect to meet our goal to have this project completed by early 2026. Lots of steps left, but we are moving in the right direction. Same with our e-permitting system. Again, we're on track for completion for early 2026. Pre-approved housing design initiative. The Upland team has been working with the community, studying neighborhoods and collecting information to guide design options for small-scale housing. Public and stakeholder consultation will begin in November. and updates will be available on our charlottetownhall.ca. This project will provide design templates and guidelines to make infill housing easier and ensure it fits within existing neighborhoods. Again, expected to wrap up early in 2026. The Heritage Preservation Bylaw, again, completion is also targeted for early 2026. So we seem to be staying on track on that as well. And I just want to make another note that our annual Heritage Awards will take place here at City Hall Wednesday, November the 19th at noon, and you are all welcome. So if anyone has any questions, I will do my best to answer. Thank you.
Councillor Beck.
Thank you for that, Deputy. Can you just outline a little bit further on the zoning and development bylaw piece, what the next steps will be for public input and any sort of internal steps that we'll be following? Because I know that we had requested an extension back through the Housing Accelerator Fund process back a while ago. So if you can just give me a little bit more clarification in terms of what that could look like, because I do know that there are people who will be looking to have the opportunity to speak to that, and if you could give us some details on that, that'd be great.
Okay, Deputy?
So the first round of stakeholder consultations is finished, and a What We Heard report is now available on our charlottetownhall.ca. Staff have reviewed the first draft, providing feedback, and that feedback is being worked on into the next version. Once ready, it will go out to review to the various city departments. And then this bylaw review will also help identify ways to modernize and improve our current rules so that they align with our official plan and provincial regulations. From there, it will go through planning staff onto planning board, which will be a recommendation for council to approve going out to public consultation. From there, we'll go out to public consultation. From there, gaining the public's information, obviously, returning back to city staff of the Planning and Heritage Department onto Planning Board for discussions and recommendations for council for final approval. So those are the steps that are still remaining. But staff is confident that we should be able to go out to public consultation early in the new year, which will then align well into still being able to complete this into the early first few months of the year. Hopefully that's clear enough, and I'm happy to add anything more to that, Councillor Beck, if I can help. Thank you.
Councillor Beck.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of ambitious. I think in terms of, to be realistic, if we're looking at getting out into the public, that's going to be kind of the first step, because I do know that this is the one element that would probably be drawing some eyeballs in the next little while in terms of input on what that zoning and development bylaw will look like. So I think we're probably a little more realistically looking at an update or a completion sometime in the summer. Would that be a more accurate? I mean, we have to go through public consultation. It has to go back through planning board. It has to come back through council. It has to go through first and second reading. The time lapse on that is just, I don't know if early in the new year is really an accurate kind of assessment when I think of the timelines involved in that. And but I think the most important part is that we have to get the message out to the public that there is going to be an opportunity to provide feedback on the latest version of the zoning and development bylaw. I understand that it has to go through the departments and all that process, but I think what the public has to be well aware of is what is their opportunity and next steps for input in them. And hopefully we can have the avenues to communicate that well to them so that they are fully aware. Thank you.
Deputy?
Yep. Thank you, Councillor Beck. And this information is coming confidently from the staff. And so early 2026, I would anticipate by the end of March, so certainly by our fiscal year end. And when you think about it, it's either going to come back to council for a recommendation for public consultation. So I would anticipate a public consultation either mid-January or mid-February, which then returns back to its various areas of the staff and the planning board, which then aligns well to come back to our March meeting of City Council for first reading, and then our special meeting of council mid-month. So I think, I mean, Mike is here if he wants to say anything more on that, but this is right from the staff's information. So Mike, if you want to add to it without putting you on the spot, but that's where we are.
Okay. Mr.
Thank
Mike
you,
Russ.
Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Deputy, for your summary. I think you've summarized the process quite well. Again, just at a high level, the next step internally, so our planning department has reviewed the initial draft, which was formulated from the feedback presented from the public during the last round of consultation. Now that feedback is back to the consulting team, that has been reviewed and will go back out internally to the various department heads in a more finished product to get feedback from their various perspectives, you know, public works, engineering, environment and sustainability, et cetera. Once we have a product that we're confident with to move forward to the next round of public engagement, we'll proceed with that. And the one thing I would say that is, you know, if we get a lot of feedback during that next round, then, you know, we're able to adapt as needed to make sure that we're hearing everyone and adapting this document to meet the expectations of the community and your various boards. So I would maybe just leave it at that, but happy to answer any other questions as needed.
Deputy?
Thank you, Mike, for adding some additional clarity and knowing that we are always able to pivot if we find that we go to a public meeting and we find that we need more time and we need more public input, then we're able to pivot and do that. But I would encourage folks to, you know, come out, get involved, because this is your chance for us to hear you as we move forward on this very important bylaw, which is our zoning and development bylaw.
Yes, Deputy, you've said that many times, and we need participation from the stakeholders, from the residents. Come participate. Okay. Ready to go to the resolutions? Okay, first resolution is, I'm going to get our
Your Worship,
esteemed CEO to read it. Go ahead, CEO.
yeah, Planning Heritage Resolution Number 1, moved by Deputy Mayor Alana Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Let it be resolved that the following major variance for the subject property identified as 21 Barton Crescent, PID number 562413, be approved to allow for an appointment-based home occupation to accommodate a nail/pedicure salon. 2, the council establish the approved number of clients permitted to visit per day to be up to 3 clients per day, and therefore the maximum number of business-based visits allowed per week be 15 per week. And the council establish the required number of on-site parking spaces for the proposed home occupation to be 3 parking spaces.
Questions going from Councillor Kevin Ramsey, Ward 5. All those in favor? Okay, 7-0 with 3 councillors absent. Go ahead, sir.
Planning Heritage Resolution Number 2, moved by Deputy Mayor Alana Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Let it be resolved that the following major variance for the subject property identified as 566 Malpeck Road, PID number 145805, be approved to allow for the establishment of a 20-foot by 20-foot, 400 square feet addition to an existing accessory structure garage located within the rear yard of the subject property in the R-1L zone as the total combined size of the existing accessory buildings and structures on the property already exceeds the maximum total combined size of 850 square feet as per section 4.1.2 point B of the zoning and development bylaw based on existing lot size for the property. Total allowable combined size of all the existing accessory buildings and structures for the subject property would therefore be 1,509 square feet.
Okay, Councillor McKinnon.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't support this resolution. I had some phone calls from residents nearby of this property, and some of the points that were addressed was, like, in the resolution itself, 4.1.2 subsection B, you can't have two accessory buildings, maximum of 850 square feet. He has that now already, so we're asking to go 406 more square feet, making it larger, which would be against our own bylaw. This property in the past was in non-compliance of our bylaws. He was running a commercial tow truck company out of his backyard, disrupting the neighbors. He does own a property elsewhere, but they're claiming there's still 2 to 3 tow trucks there. And with this accessory building that he's building, it's not as a suite as per the package states. I did speak to the applicant today. It's going to be used for storage, tractors and stuff, so there will be work being done there, probably on the tow trucks itself. It is a residential property, and yes, you can bring a tow truck home, but 2 or 3, I think, is a little bit above. They're concerned with the larger garage will result in more trucks, maintenance, higher noise, and again, the package states that it's for a garden suite, and residents nearby would be okay if it was for that, but it's not. It's probably to accommodate the towing company. So, as per our zoning development bylaw, I either ask that the applicant come back and ask for a rezoning application or a site-specific exemption sought out, and not for this particular resolution. Thank you.
Okay, so could I just ask, could you repeat your request to defer, defeat it? I know you're against it, but could you just repeat? Sorry.
I'll put a motion on the floor to defer it and to see if there's a appetite for that until we find out if the applicant wants to come back for a different application.
So for the deferral, I need a seconder. Deputy?
Hi.
Hello.
I'm not 100% sure whether a deferral is necessary or not, but I do feel inclined to support the counselor in the area that, that maybe we can pop that resolution on the floor for a deferral and have a further discussion so we can better understand what it is the counselor of the area is looking for. So just out of respect for that area, maybe I will second that deferral so that we can at least discuss it and then go from there.
Deferral's on the floor, and just please speak to the deferral. Councillor McKay?
I'd stand up, but my hips sore.
No,
so
you
I'm
go right
gonna
ahead.
stay seating.
Yep.
So I understand looking to do a deferral, but a deferral to understand why, in the package, what are we deferring? Just to find out what the councillor of the area doesn't like about the application? Because according to the application, staff have voted to support it, planning board voted to support it, and here we are. So I would say instead of doing a deferral, either you support the application as it is or you defeat it. But, so I won't be supporting a deferral for that reason.
Okay. Councilman, did you?
No, I think.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. No, it wasn't necessarily on the deferral. It was a little bit more just trying to understand some of the nuances that Councillor McKinnon brought forward. I think that kind of threw me off a little bit. It seemed to be pretty straightforward, but then you're quoting measurements and quoting things that you felt were not in line with our zoning bylaw. So I was wanting to get a clarification on that, but we moved into a deferral. So if we come back, I'd like to get clarification on a statement that you made in regard to it's not compliant with our zoning. I believe you made that. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I want to get confirmation on that. So I'll,
Well, look,
yeah.
to get the information, could you just repeat what you've discovered? And maybe, I don't know if David Gundrum is online, maybe David can add some light. Councillor McKinnon, just to clarify again, what your grievance or your
No, thank you,
issues
Your
are?
Worship. The resolution itself reads that the property already exceeds the maximum total combined size of 850 square feet as per section 4.1.2 subsection B of the zoning and development bylaw. The applicant's asking for another 20 by 20, 400 extra square feet, so it'll put them over 1,200 square feet above and beyond what the zoning development bylaw currently allows. So that's why I think we should have the applicant withdraw this one and come back in and ask for either a specific exemption or rezoning altogether, because it appears that he's looking to be conducting commercial business in a residential area. So that's what the neighbors believe. That's what they've seen in the past. Historically, he was running in non-compliance. He does have another property off-site, but when they see 2 and 3 tow trucks with one person, he can't drive 2 and 3 tow trucks at the same time.
So again, Councillor McCabe asked for, this is not a deferral, this is just reject the resolution. That's, what's deferral going to get? Councillor David, did you want to weigh in? Or, is it all right, Deputy?
I can, Your Worship. I guess, just to provide additional context background, and this was spoken to a little bit by council already. The matter did go to Planning Board on November 4th. It was unanimously recommended for approval by the board, a vote of 8-0 at that time. And I will note that the city, the city does have a building permit currently in at the present time. That permit was put on hold pending the outcome of the variance application. And I'll just note for council's information that permit made no mention of a garden suite. This was simply proposed as a 20 by 20 addition or expansion to the existing accessory building on the property. So that's just additional clarification for council's information.
Deputy?
Yeah, thank you for that. I think although I supported the Council for the Area's deferral, because I wanted to hear a little bit more, I think that I won't support the deferral when we vote, because I would like to hear, we can then go back to the original vote. I will add, though, that if the residents are concerned, in hindsight, I wish that they had sent their letters in, because that would have been very helpful. And the other thing is that we do have bylaw officer enforcement, which is complaint driven. So if, this is not the first time we've allowed accessory buildings to exceed the 800 square foot allowance, and that's 2 buildings. So it's not the first time we've done it. I can't cite exact examples, but I could probably state emphatically that every single ward has had exceptions to this bylaw. And so I won't support the deferral. However, I would encourage residents that, going forward, if this expansion and variance goes forward, and if they have any concerns at all, then they have a complaint-driven process that they can ensure that this is being used for what it is being used for. So I would encourage everyone to follow the file as it goes through.
Councillor Cron?
Thank you, Mayor Brown, and I just don't understand, like, I myself went into planning a few years ago and applied for a garage. So they look it up, GIS or whatever, and they say, okay, you have so many feet in your parcel of land, so you can only build a certain size garage. So whether it was 20 by 25 or whatever it was, that's it. That's all you're allowed. So how does this, if the person has that amount, can now turn around and build another one? So in hindsight, so does that mean moving forward now that I could go in and build a garage through the amount that is set out in our bylaw, 20 by 24, whatever, and then come back 6 months later and say, well, now I want to expand my garage for another 20 by 20. So I could get a big garage like I always wanted. Like, how does this happen? Like, I went in and I applied and that's what I was told. So how does it come now that you can build 2 garages on the same piece of property? Could someone clarify how that happens?
Deputy?
So, 2 things. I'm not sure if you're referring to are you referring, Councillor Duran, to a garage that is attached to your home? Or, and so it's an accessory building. So you're not wrong. The bylaw does state 800 square feet up to 2 buildings. And so you can't have more than 2 buildings, and that has to equal that. But as we all know, that's what variances are for. People can always apply for an exception or relief from an existing bylaw. So when you went into the Planning and Heritage Department and were told just the one, you would have had the option to apply for a variance just like anybody else would. I'm not saying that you're not wrong, but anyone can apply for an exception to the rule. That's why we call them variances. So that's why we're here today for council. Council can decide. If you're not okay with it, then don't vote in favor of it. However, we have had many, many examples of exceptions to this rule, probably every single month. Okay.
Okay, Councillor McKinnon? Go ahead.
Thanks again, Your Worship. Just a clarification on something that the deputy just mentioned there. You indicated no more than 2 structures on the property to exceed that footage. If you look at the aerial photo on this property, there's a minimum of 3 buildings there already, possibly 4. 1 is going to be extended, so there's at least 3. So we're above that again. And back on page 45, in the report, it says, and just as Mr. Gundrum had said, it doesn't say anything but suite. It says right here in the report, if a garden suite were to be constructed, the large coverage of the combined structures would still be less than 50%. So the report says they're looking for a garden suite, but the applicant is indicating they're looking for a storage facility. So what is it?
Deputy?
Great question, Councillor McKinnon. And I was not aware that there were more than 2 buildings on there, and that, again, is against our existing bylaw. So I'm going to ask David, was the intent then that a few of these existing structures on the property would have to be removed? Because I know we went through this with many other folks, that they had to get rid of those additional buildings. What do you got for us, David?
Through the chair, Deputy Mayor, there's no intention, just to clarify on the garden suite piece, I'm looking at the building permit that was submitted by the applicants back in March before they knew that they needed a variance. There's no intention for a garden suite that was indicated there. I think that note in our planner's report was just kind of as an FYI, in the event they had some notion that they're going to divert course, but the intention based on the permit, also based on the variance application, was that this was just a 20 by 20 addition to an accessory storage building and nothing beyond that. In terms of the total number of buildings, that's accounted for through the variance. It's noted in the text of the resolution that if this is approved, that they would be allowed to have a total combined footprint of 1,509 square feet, whereas only 850 is currently permitted. We caught that they were already over the limit currently, so they're technically in a legal non-conforming situation. If the variance is approved, it would basically reconcile and legalize not only what they currently have, but what they also intend to build through this addition. So I hope that clarifies for everybody, and I'm happy to answer any further questions.
Deputy?
So just to clarify, that's new, that's definitely new information, because we have had so many different examples, and I know every application is its own merit, but we have had many situations where folks came into conformity, but they had to get rid of the additional accessory buildings, and they were only allowed to keep 2. So you're saying that they can keep these additional 2 other buildings and have 4 structures on their property?
Through the chair, deputy, that's basically what they're asking for through this variance. They're asking to maintain what they have and to add on 20 by 20, 400 square foot addition to one of the buildings. So they're not proposing to scale back from what they currently have. They're proposing to add on to what they currently have, and that's captured in the text of the resolution and was reflected, I believe, in our report to planning board last week.
Okay. Question on the deferral? Yeah, she withdrew the, okay. Question on the resolution? Question called? Okay. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay. 2. All those against? Councilors Tarrant, Ramsey, Councilor Tron, and Deputy. Okay.
Non-conforming use now? I'm just wondering, if-
Deputy?
now that the resolution didn't pass, would that not still be an expectation to bring the lot up to
Deputy?
legal non-conforming?
Thank you. David, I'm not sure if you heard Councillor McCabe's question, but now that the resolution, the variance has been defeated, does this now mean that the applicant would have to still bring his property up to conformity?
Through the chair, deputy, is it my understanding that the motion that was defeated was the motion to defer?
The motion was to reject the variance.
And that was defeated.
Correct.
So and this is just a question for perhaps our clerk or for the chair, does council not have to vote on a new resolution in that case to make a determination or no?
Our clerk manager got it already set up for us. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Planning and Heritage Resolution Number 2, alternative, moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Let it be resolved that the following major variance for the subject property identified as 566 Malpeck Road, PID number 145805, be denied. To allow for the establishment of a 20-foot by 20-foot, 400 square feet addition to an existing accessory structure garage located within the rear yard of the subject property in the R-1L zone, as a total combined size of the existing accessory buildings and structures on the property already exceeds the maximum total combined size of 850 square feet as per section 4.1.2.b of the zoning development bylaw based on existing lot size for the property. Total allowable combined size of all existing accessory building structures for the subject property would therefore be 1,509 square feet.
Okay. Question? Okay. All those in favor? Okay, those who opposed are in favor. Okay. Please raise your hand. Deputy Mayor. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Deputy, Councillor Beck? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And against? Councillors Beck and McCabe. Thank you. Okay, next resolution, sir.
Resolution number 3, moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Let it be resolved that a request to rezone the subject property identified as 3 Oakland Drive, PID number 192245, from the current single detached residential R-1L zone to the institutional I zone and to change the land use designation under the official plan from low-density residential to institutional to permit new institutional uses on the subject property, i.e. Teaching and Research Center for Waste Shed Management and Environmental Academic Programs, be approved to proceed to public consultation.
Questions called? All those in favor? 7-0. Against? 7-0. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Resolution number 4, moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Let it be resolved that a request to rezone the subject property identified as Lot 8 on the Violet Circle, PID number 778308, from the low-density residential R-2 zone to the medium-density residential R-3 zone, and the request to change the land use designation in the official plan from low-density residential to medium-density residential to permit the construction of a 4-unit stacked townhouse on the subject property be approved to proceed to public consultation.
Questions called? All those in favor? 7-0. Thank you.
Resolution number 5, Your Worship. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Duran.
Resolution number 5, Your Worship, moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Let it be resolved that a request to rezone the subject property identified as Stanmore Drive, portion of PID number 1047562, from the low-density residential R-2 zone to the medium-density residential R-3 zone, and request to change the land use designation in the official plan from low-density residential to medium-density residential to permit the construction of 2 12-unit stacked townhouse rows on the subject property be approved to public consultation.
Questions called? Oh, no, Councillor McKinnon? What's that? Good.
Yeah.
Just, yeah, and I believe Councillor Duran is in conflict. All those in favor? 6-0. Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor John back in.
Someone tell Councillor.
Councillor John. Resolution number 6, Your Worship, moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Let it resolved that the request to consolidate existing portions of property identified as PID numbers 388280 and 1110642, having frontage onto Minna Jane Drive in the Highway Commercial C-2 zone, be approved subject to final PIN survey plan.
Question? Questions called? All those in favor? 7-0. Go ahead, sir.
Resolution number 7, moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Let it be resolved that the request to consolidate existing portions of properties identified as PID numbers 396408 and 396390, having frontage onto Ellis Road and Brackley Point Road in the mixed-use corridor MUC zone, be approved subject to final PIN survey plan.
Councillor Ramsey from Ward 5. Question called. All those in favor? Okay, 7-0. Go, keep going there, sir.
Resolution number 8, Your Worship, moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Let it be resolved that the request to sever an approximate 0.13 hectare portion of the unaddressed property identified as PID number 385575 and consolidate it with abutting property identified as 156 through 158 St. Peter's Road, PID number 385658, in the mixed-use corridor MUC zone, be approved subject to a final PIN survey plan.
Questions called. All those in favor? Okay, 7-0 again. Councilor McCabe?
I just noticed a second reading to the zoning developments coming up on Viceroy Avenue, and I didn't declare conflict early enough, but I am in conflict on that reading.
Apology accepted. Yes. Could you just, when you read it out, yeah. You're not in conflict? No, the next one. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Worship, we have a second reading of the zoning and development bylaw, PH-ZD.2, whereas the bylaw to amend the City of Charlottetown zoning and development bylaw to amend Appendix G, zoning map of the zoning and development bylaw from the single detached residential R-1L zone to the low-density R-2 zone for the unaddressed parcels of Viceroy Avenue, PID numbers 349035 and 1179829, as attached, was read and approved for the first time on October 14th, 2025. Let it be resolved that the said bylaw be read a second time and approved. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Justin Matart.
Shall it pass? Councilor McCabe has declared, okay, and one opposed. Okay. Councilor McCabe declared conflict of interest. Ready to answer? Yep.
Yep. Be it resolved that the said bylaw be adopted. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Justin Matart.
Shall it pass? 5, and Councillor Beck opposed. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay,
We also have a second reading of the zoning and development bylaw, whereas the bylaw to amend the City of Charlottetown zoning and development bylaw, PH-ZD.2-103, to amend Appendix G, zoning map of zoning and development bylaw from the low-density residential single R-2S zone to the institutional I zone for the unaddressed parcel on Birchwood Street, PID number 363515, as attached, was read and approved a first time on October 14th, 2025. Let it be resolved that the said bylaw be read a second time and approved. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Norman Beck.
shall it pass? Pass. Okay,
Let it be resolved that the said bylaw be adopted. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Norman Beck.
shall it pass? Okay, right on. Thank you, sir. Just give me 1 second. Councillor Twill. Bernard. And a lot of writing. Absent, in conflict, opposed. Okay, thank you there, Deputy. Thank you kindly. Okay, next is Strategic Priorities, Communication, and Intergovernmental Cooperation Council. Justin Mattar, or 2.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Strategic Priorities, Communication, and Intergovernmental Cooperation Committee did not meet this month. Therefore, there's no report in your package, and there are no resolutions for your consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Protective and Emergency Services, Councillor Julie McCabe.
Thank you, Your Worship. We met as a committee on November 12th today, October the 21st. The reports from both fire and police are in your package. We don't have any resolutions. If there's any questions, I'll do my best to answer.
Okay, any questions? Councillor McKinnon. Deputy.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a couple of questions. One regarding Section 6 and the reports for the firefighters per truck. And I hear that, is there a policy in place now that you have to have 4 firefighters on the truck leaving? And I've been told by a fireman that there is 4 firemen leaving. There's 3 firemen plus the crew chief. I could have the terminology wrong if that 4th person, but there is 4 people leaving the station. So they have the 2 in, the 2 out. Can I just get clarification on that, please, Madam Chair? Or second one is 6E under for police under the assault style firearms compensation program. Is this similar to the buyback program that the federal government tried to implement here several years ago? I see Chief McCarron is not here. Where is there compensation for anybody that's going to turn in these prohibited firearms to be disposed of? So I think that is all my questions. And is there any idea of how many of these firearms actually are in Charlottetown or on the island that they're looking to recall? Thank you. Well, I saw 2 fire, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to distract you there, Deputy Chief. Can I just add?
Yep.
Sorry, I'm still red. On one of the reports, total number of calls out, fire calls, it says 129. When I add up on your list, I get 121. I add up 123. One of the numbers is off on that one.
The detail, I'm sure it's either a typo or you have more time in your hands than I did to read those exacts, so that's good. Your first question around the fireman response time, et cetera, I'm going to let you know that we're hoping to have the, as you know, we were supposed to have our fire underwriting study presented in council. Our chief was not available. We're going to be doing that, we hope, on the 28th of November. At our committee meeting, you'll also see in the minutes, we did have a very short presentation from the union. Then they came in, there's actually some articles that they left for anybody's pleasure reading here before, and Tim will be following up, and we will have opportunity to ask those questions during the meeting of the 28th in our closed session. So we'll not get into the specifics because they're just getting ready to go into negotiations too, so we just have to make sure we're in our right lane. Your second question was asking about the guns. I don't know if they're getting money for turning in guns. I certainly don't know if they know the answer to how many of these guns are out there. Do you have details on that, Deputy Chief Coombs? They did present it. I just can't remember exactly what they said.
Deputy Chief?
Your Worship, Council, I don't have a specific number of firearms that would fit under that category at this time. I would suspect that no one has that information at this point. It's a voluntary self-reporting of the assault-style rifle. So it's not that we have the information, we're going out and soliciting this. They have to report to us that they have it, and then there's a program in place for us to counsel them and then eventually buy back the weapon. Yeah, yes, that's the program.
I'll get clarification on.
Yep.
I'll get clarification on that. It's not, I know it's not a cost to the city. It's a federal program that we are running this program through the city, through the federal government. If you wanted to add any more to that.
No, I have nothing else to add other than I also, there's no compensation for the department, but it's being run by the federal government, and we're just administering it. And at this point, we're at the MOU stage, so we're going to see a lot more details in the MOU before we go ahead and sign it.
More information to come. And your third question, so the firemen, the firearms, the number of responses, it was just the 3?
Yeah. I guess, yeah, no, we're good.
Are you sure? Okay.
discrepancy of the number of the detail.
Thank you.
Okay, good. That's good. Okay. We're moving on. You have a question there, Council? Council. Beck has a question?
Just, I was kind of taken, I was noting on the statistics that were given there and pleasantly surprised that crime overall is down in pretty much every category, which is a good news story. I was struck by, and pardon my use of words, struck by the number of motor vehicle collisions that over the year, we're seeing quite a dramatic increase over the last month, just looking at the numbers there. Is there anything that precipitating that, or is there anything that is maybe, any way that we can maybe, or is there anything that needs to be looked at, I guess, is kind of what I was wondering. And is there any kind of, any observations that came out of that? It's just kind of a number that jumped out at me. The good part was, like I said, there was a lot of good in the reduction of crime. That one just kind of stuck out at me. I'm just wondering if there was any sort of awareness or understanding or anything that could help to maybe alleviate, because we want to keep people safe on our roads.
I'm going to
That's
take
okay.
a stab to guess a lot of these stats came after the summer data was collected, which would indicate it's our high tourist season. So that could be one reason that the data could be impacted, unless this is just for October, but we can try and get that information to look at whether or not there's any identifiable reasons for, we know speeding's an issue across the city of Charlottetown. We know we need more enforcement somehow, but people need to follow the rules. That would be a start. But we could grab that information. Yeah?
Yeah, I was kind of looking at the year-to-date. The year-to-date was up like 33%. 1 month was quite very significant. But the other thing is that I think I'm asking the question because we're also looking at speed zones as part of our new active transportation plan and stuff like that too. So I think it's a consideration that if we're going to be looking at increasing our rolling traffic, if you will, from bikes, scooters, walking, and all that sort of stuff. As we're moving forward with that, I think we have to be conscious of the fact that we have to build in some safety parameters, I guess is kind of really my reason for kind of mentioning, because I think there's a direct link between where we're going, or potentially going, and the fact that we're having to deal with safety matters from our vehicles as well, too. Just a conscious raising thing more than anything. Thanks.
Okay. Good there, thank you. Okay. Councilor Ramsey?
No, we're good.
Okay,
I'm just getting ready.
okay. We'll move on to Parks, Recreation, Leisure Activities. Councilor Kevin Ramsey.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. Parks and Recreation met on October 21st, and we met again on November 6th. The minutes are in your package. We have one resolution for council's consideration. Any questions? We have our manager, Mr. Frank Quinn here, and myself. We'll certainly try and answer them. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, put the resolution, please.
Your Worship, Parks, Recreation, and Leisure Activities Resolution Number 1, moved by Councillor Kevin Ramsey and seconded by Councillor Bob Duran. Let it be resolved, the council approves Joe A. Giz Memorial Park as a location to install the MAD monument, and that the province of Prince Edward Island, in partnership with MAD Canada, will be covering all associated costs within the purchasing and the installation of the monument, and that Parks and Recreation staff will coordinate and enter a memorandum of understanding agreement with the province of Prince Edward Island to ensure the smooth installation and future management of the monument. And further, that the mayor and the CEO hereby authorized to execute standard contracts and agreements to implement this resolution.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Yankoff.
Thank you, Your Worship. I feel a bit like it's Groundhog Day. We're back here discussing monuments again. And I just want to take a quick moment to remind everyone what we already agreed to unanimously on our October 14th meeting. At that meeting, council supported my notice of motion asking staff to bring forward a policy on future monument status, statues, memorials on city property. And it was said very clearly, until that policy is adopted, no new monuments or statues should be approved or for installation from the city. That was the motion, and that's the direction we gave as council. Now, here we are tonight being asked to approve a new monument, the MAD Memorial. Even though the policy doesn't exist yet, that goes directly against the direction we already set. I know someone may point out that the monument came up at a Heritage Board meeting where staff actually recommended against the location that was being proposed, but let's be clear, this monument was never before council for approval or discussion. Talking about something at committee or internally among staff is not the same as bringing it to council. If we start saying, oh, it was in the hopper, or someone once mentioned it, we're basically opening the door for staff to move ahead on anything that's ever been talked about before, and that's just not how council's direction works. This isn't about the worthiness of a monument itself, it's about following process and respecting the will of council. We gave a clear, unanimous direction, no new monuments until we have a policy in place. So let's stand by our decision and our process. So I thank you for that. And just to reiterate, at the end of the day, council gave clear direction, no new monuments until the new policy is in place. So that's what we voted for, and that's what we should honor. Thank you.
Councillor Buchanan.
Thank you, Your Worship. Again, as the deputy stated, not to trying to take away from the great work that MAD does. I've done work for them in the past in my previous career, and it's very rewarding. But I have a question, Deputy. Has this been on the floor previously to your notice of motion? And if it hasn't been on the floor, again, as you just asked, why is it back here? Because we put a notice of motion on the floor, asking for a process to be followed, and the process, if it's not being followed, I don't think this motion should even be here at this time. So, has this been on the floor previously to the notice of motion? I've heard that it was, and I've heard that it wasn't, so. Just
No,
looking for clarity.
to clarify, it was at the Heritage Board meeting, July 8th. No, not on this floor, right? So, and the notice of motion come up during the Holodomor question. So, just to clarify, there was no vote here as council, but there was discussion and a vote at the Heritage Board, July 8th. Councillor Drawn.
Thank you, Mayor Brown, and thank you, Deputy Mayor, for your insight. I stand today for this MAD monument. This is a very traumatic event. This monument builds a lot of heartfelt sadness in someone that probably lost a loved one. They have applied, I think it started with the province a year ago. It says that back May 2024, they applied for Charlottetown because we are the capital city of the province. I guess it was denied at that time because it was looking to go to Victoria Park. So they came up with another area that would be suitable, close to the Confederation Trail, and they reapplied. When you see this monument, I understand where you're coming from, where you say, policy, procedure. I hear it all the time. This is different. We're in the process of coming forth with a policy for monuments, but this is a very meaningful monument. It was like the last one we did. That was very meaningful again. I know we're working forward, and I was one of those that voted that, to move forward on this, to get a monument policy, so we can't just put them everywhere. But this is very traumatic. This monument, when you're involved in a situation like this, when you have to go to a house and explain that a loved one has passed away, it's very heartfelt for the officers and for the person. I can't imagine, the utter sadness that you would feel when some police officer comes and informs you that a loved one has passed away. Now, this monument, like I said, it's been in It's been in the process of being here. We discussed it at council, or at our committee level. Councillor Bernard, myself, and Chair Ramsey were all in favor of moving this to council. We never thought that it was going to come up and say, okay, you know what, policy is not set here. And you know, policy here on the floor, it changes many times. Sometimes, like, it moves ahead. We had this discussion in planning just a few minutes ago, that, you know, every variance, you know, can be accepted or can be moved forward. So, you know, you take that with a bit of hindsight, and then you go back to this. This is a very, very sad monument. You know, when it comes up, it brings a lot of emotions to people. You know, this is a national monument that they're looking to establish in the capital city. So I would certainly be supporting it, along as with our committee. I can't speak for Councillor or Chair Ramsey or Councillor Bernard, but I know when we spoke it only lasted a minute or two that we are all in support of it. So I ask you to please, you know, let's pivot here and get this monument in our capital city. Let's move and work with the federal government, that, you know, MAD Canada, that's trying to get it established here. And don't put up a barrier for this. Let's welcome it. As other monuments, when we have the policy in a month or two, when it comes, we welcome it with open arms. Like, we're here to do business. And I hope that we can see, you know, the meaningful of this monument and move forward. I understand, again, how policy and procedure works, but I'm asking to pivot, you know, for this until we get it established. Thank you.
Councillor Tarrant.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you to the deputy, and thank you to Councillor Duran for your viewpoints on this. I do know, in the last discussion we had this, I was also supportive of moving forward with monuments and having a policy in place, and I still in support of that. In looking at this particular one, you know, I can't help but go back to think of this one has been kind of coming to the city for quite some time prior to us. The notice of motion that was put forward by the deputy at our last meeting, or the last time we met on this topic. And I'm trying to be mindful of that situation and not create any barriers to allow for this to move forward, in support of a great cause. But I also, at the same time, you know, want to reiterate very strongly to staff and administration of the importance of why we need to have this policy and where we are with that and working forward. I know that it seems like twice we're having the conversation. I don't want to sit here and suggest that nobody's working on a policy, but I don't know if anybody's working on a policy. And I don't know if we're going to be here in another month with another monument, et cetera, and we're going to be making these same cases over and over. So, you know, I will support the resolution for the monument at Joe Giz Park. I think it is warranted. I think it's been in front of the city here for quite some time, and we need to make a decision and move forward with it. However, bearing in mind, though, that going forward, my support of monuments in the absence of policies are getting few and far between in the sense of what we need to have. And so I don't know if that's a message to staff that we need to, you know, make this a priority. I know it's not easy just creating policies and having them ready for council the day after we suggest them, but, you know, please ensure me that we're working towards that, Chair, and that that is what we aim to have in place so that we don't have to have these debates and those things can move forward on a case-by-case basis. So that's what I'll say on that. I do have a question, if I could, while I'm up on the actual monument itself in the report, Chair. So to the Chair, I notice it talks about an MOU will be drafted in partnership with the provincial government from a management perspective. Can you elaborate a little bit more what that means from a management of the actual structure? And then do we plan to have that MOU in place before the actual structure is constructed at Joe Giz Park? Because I do think they aggressively want to get something up this fall. Is that correct? So I'd like to know a little bit more on what the MOU consists of. I know there's a lot of activity that transpires in and around Joe Giz Park, and I want to understand a little bit more of this monument and what that's going to look like from a management perspective. So if you could elaborate on that, Chair, that'd be great. Thank you.
Councillor Ramsey.
Thank you, Councillor Chart, for your comments, and I'm in agreement with you also. This was in the hopper for a while, and I know some people don't agree with it, but at the same time, it was there before we start pushing for a policy, and it's for a great cause. And Frank, you're dealing with the province, I believe, with the MOU that's operational. Could you, maybe you can answer Councilor Matard's question?
Correct, Councillor Ramsey through to Councillor Matard. So yeah, so we're looking at the MOU. Well, mainly what's indicated is where the exact location is. So once the exact location is confirmed, it'll be in that. It'll also include what types of material that's in the actual monument. And then it'll also put in what's required to maintain it. So let's say some vandalism happens to it, who's required to clean it? It will be the province, those kind of things, because oftentimes we put in monuments or plaques or whatnot, and who's maintaining it afterwards. So we want to have those in place. We do realize Joe Giz Park is a more active park at certain times, but I do think it is a good location as well for a structure like that as well. So yeah, so we just want to make sure we have that in place. It's not going to be very detailed. It'll be a one-pager or so.
And just to follow up, Councilor Matard said, who's working on the policy?
So, Your Worship, through to Councilor Matard. So, yes, so right now we've collected a number of policies, myself and Economic Development and Culture, Doug Duminas. So, he's collected some information. We're reviewing them right now. We're in the process of drafting a policy. It will involve at least 4 departments, Economic Development, Parks and Recreation, Planning, and very likely Public Works as well. There are a couple programs out there right now. For example, the Memorial Bench Program, we might look at trying to incorporate this into the policy as well. So yeah, so but we are in the process. We hope to be able to bring something to council in January, once we have staff's input into it as well, once we have a draft to review.
Deputy Mayor Yankoff?
So a policy by January. Okay. So I just wanted to add again, you can say it was in the hopper. There's all kinds of things in the hopper. At the end of the day, we stood here, Councillor Tweel actually used the MAD monument as an example of no more monuments until we have a policy. And, you know, this is not saying no to a cause. It's saying yes to good process. And we all agreed to pause until the policy's ready. And that's, to me, still the right approach. We can't claim to respect process one day and ignore it the next. A unanimous motion still stands, so no exceptions. And this is, like I said, this is not about what MAD stands for, nor was it about what the Ukrainian Society stood for. This is about respecting council's wish of a notice of motion. So what's the point of a notice of motion if we're just going to ignore them? So that's all I have to say. I won't be supporting the resolution.
Councilor Beck?
I think we live in a world of exceptions, and I think we deal with exceptions all the time. I'm going to support the motion. I do see a distinct difference with this one in the sense that it went through various levels. It's been in the works for quite a while. We have an organization that has proven itself to be very effective in terms of supporting families that deal with tragedies such as impaired driving and the negative impacts that come with that. We tried to find another place down at Victoria Park. It didn't work. Parks and Rec has been looking at it. We've been looking at various options. I think they've come up with a reasonable, good location. And I think in this particular instance, it makes sense to look at this on an individual case. I think it's if we end up with other ones in the future, we may or may not entertain them. But I do see this as being different, and I do see it as being valuable, and I do see it as being pertinent, and there is a timeline associated with it too. So I'm going to support the motion as outlined.
Councilor McCabe?
You know, I think tonight we're spending time debating on whether or not we need to support a monument for very concerning, there's no question, Councillor Duran, it is traumatic in a province where we know driving by impaired, whether through its alcohol or by drug, is a really big problem. You know, is the monument great? Yep. But I support what Councillor or Deputy Mayor Yankoff said. We did very clearly say at that time we were going to do some work, and we were going to put this in place before we looked at any other applications for a monument. My concern is it's not going to, why not take time and get this policy done? If, you know, really, at least a draft of something to present. These people should have been told that that's where we were as a council at this time. But Joe Gibbs Park, we can't even decorate at Christmas for the last 3 years because of the problematic behavior in that park. But we're going to spend, I'm not sure how much money on a monument that has a great cause in an area that we can't put Christmas decorations up in. Would it not make sense to take some time and find a place where we don't have to worry about graffiti? Or who's responsible it's going to clean it up when it happens? Is it the province? Is it the city? You know, it's not, is that the best location? I won't be supporting it as is right now, but I certainly support the MAD organization and appreciate all the great work they do.
Councillor Drawn.
Thank you, and thank you for the comments. You know, and I think we have to look at, it's no cost to the city. This is going to be funded through Mothers Against Drunk Drivers and their organization along with the province. They've been looking for this for over a year now. We are a capital city. I know I hear policy and procedure every day, but we also are here, you know, to represent the people that we're here for. And I think with this, our manager said it's coming forward in another month or so. And, you know, give credit because we didn't know what we were doing. I voted for it. I didn't know these things were coming up. In all my 10 years of council, I don't think we voted on too many monuments. And then all of a sudden comes now, we're bang, bang, 2 months in a row. So, you know, I understand that, and I voted for it, but I also vote for change too. So I can change my mind, and I'm changing it. I'm supporting it. I'm supporting the corporation that's looking forward to putting a monument in the capital city. And you know, I understand if you want to, you know, that's your opinion. You can do what you want. But I just, you know, I know it's a very sad time. I know it's a very emotional monument, and it will be when it's opened. We've looked into who cleans it, who looks after it. Those things are coming forward. So I can't say enough that, you know, I will be supporting it along with our chair and Councillor Bernard when we had the discussion. And I know the mayor is interested in moving this forward. So I just don't want to get tied up in red tape. You know, we sit here and you know, that's what city council does. We've certainly moved forward on a number of things tonight. You know, the strike vote, we've moved on that, we pivoted on that. You know, council, you know, we're starting to, you know, do things. And I just don't want to see this bogged down and the possibility of them getting frustrated and moving down the road somewhere else. So I ask again to please support this. Thank you.
Councillor Ramsey.
Just to wrap up, Your Worship. Yes, and I'm in full agreement, and everyone has their vote. And as we stated, our manager stated, there's going to be an MOU. It's no cost to us, as Councillor Drawn said, and we're just going to finalize the details of if there is something happens to it, who's responsible for it. So we're in full support. Everybody can vote the way they like. I would like to call the vote, Your Worship.
Call the question. Councillor McKinnon, you want to get up?
Thank you, Your Worship. Sorry, Councillor Ramsey. I'm still on the fence, and I know we're just at the cusp here of voting, but is there any appetite for a deferral until we get the policy in place? If the policy's coming in 2 months' time, what's the rush? What is this going to be put in place between now and January? And if not, if the deferral, wouldn't something like this beautiful monument look good at Boulder Park? Downtown where more people would appreciate it, probably less risk of vandalism. I just think a deferral to look at a couple of options like that until the policy is in place as well.
Boulder Park is a heritage park. That's why it was denied at Victoria Park. Boulder Park is a heritage park. It's part of Queen Square. It's one of the 5 squares. So it's no different than Victoria Park.
Can't go there. Okay. Still like to ask for a deferral if possible until we get a policy in place.
Okay. You got a second with a deferral. Okay, second the deferral. You want to call a question on deferral? No. You don't?
I'm just wondering, can I speak?
Well,
We're going for the deferral?
yeah, are you calling the question for the deferral? Okay, question on the deferral. Who's in favor of the deferral? Okay, who's against deferral? Okay, we're back to the main motion. Did you call the question? Do you have that, Councillor Ramsey?
That's it,
Yeah.
thank you.
And Mr. Quinn, you're going to have a policy template to us in the new year, first of the new year, correct?
Your worship, will do the best I can. Like I said, it is a cross-departmental policy, so I'm working with economic development.
4 departments.
Well, that's at least 4 departments. So we'll work on it
Okay,
best we
Deputy
can.
Mayor?
Thank you.
Yeah, just a,
Hold on.
just a
Go ahead.
quick question on that. Why are we asking Manager Frank to bring, I mean, we don't even know what department this falls under yet. So it won't be, I dare say, is it your department that's going to bring the policy forward? If you say it's through 4 departments, or would it go through strategic priorities, since it's an yeah, like, I mean, yeah. So maybe that's a question at the beginning of the meeting under future information, but I dare say it won't be coming through Parks and Recreation. I don't know. Somebody know?
Frank?
So, yes, so your worship through the deputy mayor. So we're working on those details right now. So in some municipalities, it is under Parks and Recreation. Some municipalities it's under economic development. Some municipalities under other ones. So a lot of times is where are majority of the monuments and plaques and whatnot installed. And they can be the lead department with other departments that are going to involve as well. So, and it could be like our municipal naming policy that was put in place. It did fall under strategic priorities, so it could be that it's decided to go underneath that department, so.
Councillor Picard?
Just to finalize,
Yeah.
so to Deputy's point, I think maybe strategic priorities might be a good place for that. And it kind of separates this siloed 4 operational units that nobody wants to take the baton. But I think, we've been sitting here and we've been basically instructing Manager Frank to, get something done here by January. But I think as a council here, we maybe should be looking at our CAO here and making this a priority for the CAO to come back to us in no later than January with a draft policy, like period. I know, Frank, we put it out there to you and you said you'll do your best. I think as a council, we're directing the CAO to have a draft policy for us in January.
Yeah.
Because if we don't put some parameters around this, I think we're going to be in January saying we're still working on it, and not to nobody's effort, because everybody's busy and there's a lot of things that are happening. But I think if we could align it to a particular committee, maybe strategic priorities, Melanie might be someone wonderful to work on something like
No,
this.
it's a good point.
And she will
Good
take the ball and run with it and work with the 4 divisions, 4 departments, sorry, and bring that together. And we will instruct the CAO to have something ready for us.
I
there.
can
That's
tell-
my suggestion.
Yeah, I can tell you that the War Memorial Monument fell under economic development. And anyone that was there for the Remembrance Day ceremony, it stood out proudly. So we have to take an inventory of what we have, and Frank is already leading the file on this. CAO will definitely will be involved, and your director is Mr. Richard McEwen, correct? Okay. But we need something, a draft by the first of the new year. Good?
So so what all I'm saying I'm just collecting information, and the municipal naming policy was put in place. I had actually created it, sent it off to other departments, they provided comments, and then it went through strategic priorities for the final draft. A lot of times it's getting our input at the start. The departments that it affects the most, which is economic development, parks and recreation, and planning. So make sure that that information is there so that it can go to the next phase quicker and get the council quicker. So that's sort of what I'm trying to do, because I know it is a priority for council and it is a priority for our department as well, since this is the second request that our department has had to bring forward in the last 4 months.
Councillor McCabe?
Just summing that up, because it's a multi-departmental issue, and we're going to break those silos. It's going to run through strategic priorities, and some sort of report will come back through your committee test.
No, we'll, that'll happen, yeah, and it just, we, yeah, yeah. Again, the CAO is operational along with his managers and directors. Councilman Tard?
Well, I guess I put that out there. I haven't received any indication that that is what the direction will go in. All I've heard of the response is Frank still has the baton, and he's going to move forward with it by collecting information.
No, he's just collecting some information.
But it's all on him.
We,
That's all I'm saying. It's
we,
coming.
it'll be worked. CAO, can you just weigh into this? Because I think we're getting some confusion about who's doing what.
Well, that's the point. That's why
Absolutely,
we're
Your
confused.
Worship. If it's council's request, then certainly this can be made a priority, and I can work with the departments involved to identify a lead department and make sure it gets back to council and through the identified committee as soon as possible.
Thank you, CAO.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Let's go to Councillor Duran, Water and Wastewater Utility.
Thank you, Mayor Brown.
You got red mic.
What? Thank you. I guess I'm not going to get my monthly question. But anyways, the Water and Sewer Utility Committee met on October 27, 2025, and the minutes have been included in your package. We do have one resolution coming forward for your consideration, for council's consideration. And if you have any questions that you'd like to ask me about the minutes or anything, just feel free to go ahead. Thank you.
Well, let's just read the resolution.
Worship, Water and Sewer Utility Resolution Number 1, moved by Councillor Bob Duran and seconded by Councillor Justin Matart. Let it be resolved that a sole source purchase of a replacement grit dewatering screw for the wastewater treatment plant from Veolia in the amount of $119,650 plus all applicable taxes be accepted, and that the mayor and the CEO are hereby authorized to execute standard contracts and agreements to implement this resolution.
Questions called. All in favor? 7-0. Is that it? Councillor Duran, you sure you don't? Okay, Public Works, who's doing Public Works? Okay. Councillor Matart.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I will be providing the report tonight in Councillor Twio's absence. He sends his regrets this evening because he's not feeling well. The Public Works Committee met on Thursday, November 6th, 2025, and those minutes are not provided and are not in your package, and they'll be provided at a later date. The Civic Board for Persons with Disabilities met on Thursday, September 25th, 2025, and Tuesday, October 21st, 2025, and the minutes are included in your package. There are no resolutions for your consideration this evening, and if there's any questions on the two reports, there is 4 reports in there. If there's any questions on those, I will do my best to address those in the absence of the chair. Thank you.
Councillor McKinnon, Councillor Beck.
Thank you, Your Worship. Mr. Chair, question, I guess for the manager. I'm getting phone calls on Stockman Drive. They're concerned about cost overruns and the extended period of time it's taking for the sidewalk to be completed. I just wondering, do you have an end date that we can kind of put back to the residents for this sidewalk completion? They're concerned about the ongoing mess and construction on the street.
Do you want to take that, Councillor Matart, or do you want Councillor Tweel to email him? Okay. Albert.
Thank you. Through your worship, through to Councillor McKinnon. Yeah, we are kind of running into the later months, obviously, so we're following up on our capital projects and seeing what can and cannot be done. There were some delays with getting the curbing done on some streets and having a subcontractor go out to complete that work. So the plan is that the curbing will occur this fall and sidewalk work will get started. Hopefully it will finish up this winter. The hope is, depending on what the weather does, that it does get fully finished. If not, then we always have the risk that it will be finished in the upcoming year. So it's hard to say at this time, but work is progressing.
Councillor Beck?
Yeah, I guess I have a couple of questions. It's more around the methodology of the, that has been outlined here. So on page 182, it referenced again that on December 13th, we passed an updated 5-year multi-use pathway and sidewalk plan. Then in 194, it says, one of the next steps is to procure an education or an engineering consultant to design the 2026 priority streets. So I guess my question is, or I have a couple of other questions too, but maybe I'll just start with this one. Are we using the 2023 for the priority streets, or are we going to be using our new criteria based on what the engineering consultant is going to come in and design the priority seats for 2026? So maybe they're one and the same, I don't know, I'm just looking for some clarity on that. Maybe I can pass that on to, I'll address you, Chair, if you want to pass it on to Albert, do that as well.
Thank you, Councillor Beck.
Yes, Majority, we're due.
Yeah, thank you. So I know that's a great question because I know that was brought up in our last committee meeting, and there was a lot of discussion and debate regarding the priority list, the 5-year priority list, and which one we're actually working from. But if I do recall, I think the discussion was led basically in the sense that, you know, that document can change as new priorities occur, and the new scoring mechanism that's going to be applied there will also inevitably change some of those priorities based on that as well. So I think to answer your question, that we are, you know, driving from the old list, but they looking to update that in the new one. So if I'm not representing that correctly, I'm trying to go off memory here from our meeting, I'll hand it over to Manager Albert, and he can elaborate a little bit more as well.
Mr. Gashi?
Great. Thank you, Councilor Richard. Yes, so I guess just as an overview maybe for this new methodology and new sidewalk prioritization, just if anybody hasn't had a chance to look at it in detail, but what we did was we're going into year 3 of the current 5-year plan, which the latest version was in 2023. So we've had our staff come up with a prioritization checklist and criteria based on jurisdictional scans throughout Canada of what other municipalities are doing. When we did that review, we established that criteria, and in the essence of time, what we would love to do is be able to rate every single street in the city and weigh it and score it for what streets need a sidewalk that don't have a sidewalk for new sidewalk and multi-use paved paths. But unfortunately, with the time of year, we weren't able to do every single street. That's going to be a very large exercise. We would have to do traffic counts and further investigation throughout the city. So what we were able to do was do that full scoring criteria prioritization checklist for the remainder of the 5-year plan, so year 3, 4, and 5. And based on that, we determined that the streets for 2026 were rated, and we came up with what streets were the highest rating and in the most need of new sidewalks based on the other ones. And the streets that were on the original plan for year 3 or 2026, a few of them have changed, but it's outlined there. And the next step would be to go out and do engineering services for 2026, so those streets in year 3, and then at budget time come up with and see what the estimates are going to be for that, and if council wishes to construct all of those projects next year, we would be at the stage where they're designed and we go out for tender and construct them in 2026.
Councillor Beck?
Yeah, so it sounds like we're kind of in a period of transition then, where we're kind of using the old list, seeing whether it still fits with the new scoring system that we're looking to implement. And then once we get through this 5-year phase, we'll then use that scoring system to ultimately determine needs going forward. So we're kind of a little bit of out with the old and in with the new, but still kind of got our toes in both bodies of water.
I think that's a fair assumption, yes. Again, because it's such a large exercise to do every street in the city and then eventually have, that scoring for every street. We have to start somewhere. And the idea is that even in the past, this 5-year sidewalk plan has always been flexible. We've kind of established it and shown, this is the next year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. In the past, it has moved around based on priorities and what other infrastructure work is happening or council budget or any number of factors. So it's always been slightly flexible,
All right.
but there has never been this full open and transparent scoring matrix or criteria that says this is what we're basing every decision on. So that's the hope, is that we use this to get and spread it out throughout the whole city. But in the meantime, and with the amount of time and resources we've had, we've done it just on the current list.
Okay,
I just have a couple of more questions?
sure,
supplemental,
sure, take
if
your
I can.
time.
So on page 196, I was looking at the capital summary update, and I guess I have two questions on this chart that was submitted. The first one says, development charges background study for capital construction charge back bylaw. Did we not remove that as the capital construction charge? Didn't we just have a vote recently to remove that as a? Yeah, because we were going to do it as a priority bylaw, and then we removed it, right? Because it came in originally under the 10 priorities when we went back through that process a couple of years ago, and then at a couple of meetings ago, we removed that. So why do we still have a background study on something that we're not going to be pursuing?
Councilman Turk, do you want to answer that, or just defer?
No, I'll have to defer it,
Okay.
because I don't know the answer to that, thank you.
I just have one more question after that.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to Councillor Beck. I'm just jumping in here because I believe I was the one to speak to this the last time we were dealing with the resolution to amend the priority bylaw list, and I'm just try and paraphrase and recall what I had said exactly, but tried to make it clear that this work had proceeded prior to council choosing not to proceed with the development charge bylaw. This background study had kicked off, I think it was maybe even in 2023. But effectively, the scope of the work is to get a better understanding of the infrastructure gap that the city has in order to accommodate future growth. And so that information is still very valuable to the city, and ultimately, we already had an awarded contract for that. So we're, and by we, I mean the various departments that all work on our development planning and infrastructure planning, trying to wrap up that work so that we can have a presentation to committee and council so that all of you have a clear understanding of what that infrastructure gap is and what the financial constraints are moving forward.
Okay, thank you. And just my final question, I was looking at the master plans and studies. It was referencing Grafton Street, Mount Edward Road, parking study, et cetera. I didn't see anything on North River Road. I know that was there was a study for North River Road. Where are we with that? And is there, I know it was kind of tied to University Avenue and doing University Avenue first as a prioritization, but I don't even see it referenced in here. Maybe could you just tell us where we're at with that, Albert? Thank you. Or
Oh, go ahead.
Councillor Matard, if you can.
Councilor Matard, do you want to defer it?
I don't know where you're with.
Okay.
I'll send an email
Councillor
to.
Great, thank you. No, thanks for the question, Councillor. So that, it's not shown in the update, but that work is complete. The final draft is done, so we will be bringing the final report, hopefully to committee very shortly. We're already in the works of preparing the first, phase of that work for 2026, which we hope to present at our budget and have some work start there next year. Again, as we've brought to a previous council meeting through finance, asking for the gas tax money for that project, and we've committed slightly to looking at starting phase one of that work next year. So the final report will be brought over, and again, that is the master plan. So just as a reminder that that's a conceptual idea of what we hope that whole corridor to look like, and it has some details in there of how we can phase the work and what we can see, but the detailed design will keep coming to council as we split the project up and phase it out over a multiple of years in consideration with University Avenue, because again, two major north-south connectors in the city. We want to make sure that whenever we do go to do work in those areas, they aren't happening concurrently.
Okay, no, Council, you want four, this is your, no, I'm staying, you want to thank him? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Albert.
Thank you. Okay, Councilman Turt, you're
Thank you, Your
the
Worship.
interim chair, anything
I guess I
add?
just wanted to make a point for the rest of council. During the committee meeting and when Albert was presenting the new model for scoring here and framework around that, and going through the different categorizations of how the scoring criteria worked, one of the things that I observed as what I thought was missing from there was really what the taxpayer wanted, right? And, because people feel they pay taxes, they should have infrastructure outside their front window. And as a result of that, I mean, certainly in the absence of not being able to just literally put sidewalks on every street in Charlottetown, that doesn't seem very realistic. In this scoring mechanism, what I think will end up happening is when certain streets are assessed, they'll never come up for at any point in time to likely get a sidewalk because they'll keep scoring low every single time. They won't meet all that criteria, and that won't change unless something within the environment changes around that. So I did mention, I think that there's something that needs to be considered when it comes to what the taxpayer wants. Some people want a sidewalk on the street, some people don't. The argument came also, some people don't want a sidewalk on there. So how do we determine that? Sometimes that could be, so I asked the question of, do we solicit feedback on what people want and don't want from there? Does that factor into it? A lot of the other categories here deal with things that are not necessarily what the actual people of the street want. So I'm concerned on, for me personally, in certain areas of Ward 2, selfishly, there's residents who want sidewalks. But based on this criteria, I don't think they'll ever get to that point because it's not going to meet the criteria. So I brought that up in the committee meeting, and Albert, I know you certainly heard what I was saying and the concerns that I put forward, but I wanted to bring that forward to the rest of council that I do support the scoring criteria. I think it's going to help us determine where we prioritize and put our sidewalks in Charlottetown and with the budgets that we have. However, it doesn't address maybe a bigger need for sidewalks where people want it for other reasons that are not really captured here in the criteria. So that was a comment that I made, and I just wanted to bring that forward again here this evening. Thank you.
Okay, don't go anywhere, Councilman Turt, we got another question. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. With the absence of the minutes, so it's hard to really ask all the pertinent questions because we don't have the minutes unless we had time to watch the live stream. So will the minutes be attached to our next meeting of council so that we can actually ask about discussions?
That could either go to the CAO just as the chief minute taker.
Your Worship, we can make those minutes available for next council meeting.
Yeah.
Or before then, yeah, through email.
Just one second, another question. Question with the interim chair?
And it's great if you circulate them by email, but as I just heard our clerk say, we do need to have them in a package in order for us to ask questions about them. So I just heard her answer the questions.
They'll also be part of the Public Works Committee, the next committee meeting.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So just on the development fees and capital recovery fees, City of Calgary has a $5.4 billion budget, operational. They have franchise 4%. Franchise fees include for the right to use municipal property, payments from utility companies for the right to use municipal property and rights of way to deliver services. And that, under permits, it's 3%. It's over $200 million they bring in on development fees, capital recovery fees. So we are not doing that because we said they get it through the taxes. Okay, Deputy, good to go. Public Works, Environment Sustainability, it's our good friend from Ward 8, Alice McKinnon. Oh, go ahead, sir.
Red light. Thank you very much, Your Worship. Environment Sustainability Committee met on October 28th. Draft meeting minutes are included in your package, and there's 3 resolutions for your consideration. I have some October highlights I'd like to share before we get into the resolutions. Registration is now open for the year's Better Homes Neighborhood Energy Project. The program is free to residents of Hillsborough Park and aims to support 100 homeowners. Residents can find out more and register for the program online at charlottetown.ca/betterhomes. On November 5th, a Resilient Home Seminar was hosted with the town of Stratford. Speakers from the city, the town of Stratford, the government of PEI's Emergency Measured Organization, Holland College's Heritage Retrofit Carpentry Program, and Scout Environmental spoke on how residents can build home resiliency. Oh, sorry, too far here. To extreme weather and learned what supports are available. Waste Week in October was packed with engaging events to teach the community practical ways to reduce waste. Highlight of the week was the annual Fix-It Fair, where over 30 items were brought in by the public, extending their life, keeping them out of landfills. 60 students from Colonel Grace High School planted over 200 trees and shrubs in Victoria Park with funding from Trees for Life. In partnership with Holland College and Trees for Life, over 250 trees and shrubs were planted in Frank McCauley Park, transforming the wet, unusable area into a thriving ecosystem. Parks and Rec is also working to manage a large patch of invasive Japanese knotweed in the park. 2 community plantings were completed with Tree Canada and TD Friends of the Environment in Evergreen Park. In Windsor Park, work is underway to manage areas degraded by Fiona. This includes the removal of dead trees, large stumps, invasive species to prepare for plantings in spring. Across city streets and parks, 133 large caliper trees were planted this fall to grow the urban forest. And finally, Environment Sustainability staff presented as part of the Canadian Institute of Forestry lecture series highlighting urban tree planting initiatives. The presentation was titled Rapid Canopy Development Through Urban Restoration Plantings in the Changing Climate, Lessons from Charlottetown's Post-Hurricane Fiona Recovery. And Your Worship, just one more note, our second resolution here of renaming a pathway. I believe that Josh Underhay's wife and brother are online watching along. So, thank you.
Okay. Questions on the report? My friend from Ward 3, Councillor Beck, can you just stand up there?
Just a quick clarification. I
Yes?
know there might be a subliminal message in this, but my name is not Normal. My name is Norman Beck on the motions there. So just as a
all right.
point of clarification.
We just
could
wonder
we
your
clear that
normality
up?
sometimes, so that's
Right?
probably why they put
Sometimes
it
you
there.
might be wondering,
They're
but
saying, is he normal? Huh?
205 and 210.
Those new glasses.
Jury's
those new
still out.
glasses
We'll
are
have to have a
working.
motion on that later
Those new
on.
glasses are working. You can see everything now. Okay, do you want to read the
205
first resolution, sir?
Your Worship, Environment and Sustainability Resolution Number 1, moved by Councillor Trevor McKinnon and seconded by Councillor Norman Beck. Let it be resolved, the council approve the purchase of 4 new electric mini transit buses from Demira Bus Sales Corporation for $2,550,560 before taxes, with 65% of the costs covered by investing in Canada infrastructure funding. and that the mayor and the CEO are hereby authorized to execute standard contracts and agreements to implement this resolution.
And let the record note that Councillor McCabe left the chamber because she wasn't feeling good. So, Councillor Ramsey?
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for your report, Councillor McKinnon. Can somebody remind me, when there was issues with electric buses, I thought we put a hold on them. That came up last year, that we weren't going to go ahead with. I know it's being paid 65% from investing in Canada, but I thought because of the issues that was going on with electric buses around the country, around the world, that we, and the two operators are in last year, they even said put the brakes on the electric buses. So maybe, did we resolve that? Just a question.
Councillor McKinnon?
I will defer this to Manager Jessica, but I will speak to the buses. I sat in one of these buses when we were just at a recent conference, and they're pretty neat. They're small, they're compact, and I think they'll be great for running around our city. But ask for Jessica to respond to the question.
Jessica Corkum-Gorell.
Sure, thank you. Through the chair to Councillor Ramsey. So the original ISEP plan was to buy full-size, fully electric buses, build a big depot with lots of charging infrastructure. But because of the hesitation of increased costs, the pivot was to put that funding towards a lot of diesel fleet, but not totally back away from testing electric bus technology and to pilot for small ones. So ISEP approved that pivot, and the operators in support of this pivot, and we're still planning to proceed with that.
Yeah, so do we have the infrastructure already in place when these buses come? Or, because do they not have to be parked inside, electric buses?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So these will get chargers installed, so that's happening in tandem with the bus purchase. They'll be level 2 chargers because the buses are mostly just used during the day and are parked at night. So they'll have a long charge period. So we don't need the super expensive level 3 chargers at this time. When we expand electric bus fleet, we will want level 3 chargers. But so we met with the operator and picked spots for the chargers. ISEP funding goes towards chargers as well. And those will be installed before the first 2 deliveries come in March 2026.
Thank you very much for the information.
Yep.
Okay. Question? Question's called. All those in favor? 6-0. Okay. More names right. Councillor, go ahead, sir.
Your Worship, resolution number 2, moved by Councillor Trevor McKinnon and seconded by Councillor Norman Beck. Let it be resolved that council name the Charlottetown Bypass Highway multi-use path from the Hillsborough Bridge in the south to the Confederation Trail in the north, Josh Underhay Way, in commemoration of Josh Underhay, who demonstrated excellence in active transportation advocacy and who exemplified the values of the City of Charlottetown, respecting diversity, inclusion, and equity. And the council instructs staff to work with the province of PEI to ensure that this commemorative naming designation is reflected on the active transportation wayfinding signage and in maps of the community. And further, that the mayor and the CEO are hereby authorized to execute standard contracts and agreements to implement this resolution.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Beck.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is certainly a personal motion for me. I had the distinct pleasure in my former life as a principal at Stone Park Intermediate to hire Josh on a couple of occasions. First time as in a part-time position, temporary contract, and then after that as a more on a more permanent basis. And I want to draw your attention just for a minute to page 217, and it kind of provides for me a pretty succinct description of who Josh Underhay was and why this naming is so appropriate for this individual. Josh was a leader in transportation advocacy. I can't remember the number of times that I was out on bus duty in the morning in Four Seasons. Sleet, sleigh, rain, snow, it did not matter. Josh would come in, he would be garbed in his fluorescent clothes. I can still see him coming in. He would have the little buggy in behind that he would have transported Oliver to school in. But he did it all the time. And he lived, he walked the talk. And he was not only believed in it, but he demonstrated that belief on a daily basis. And that'll be forever etched in my memory. In terms of democratic engagement, Josh was a staunch advocate of proportional representation. And the interesting part about it, some of you might remember back a few years ago, we had a big debate on whether we were going to entertain it.
Twice.
Right? Josh would spend, I can't remember the amount of time that he would have spent discussing this with people. But what I always appreciated about it is as much as he was staunchly advocating for it, he wanted to hear the other side. He wanted to fully understand it. He wanted to appreciate what other people's views were. He had his own. He would willingly share them with people, but he also wanted to learn from others to see if he could be changed, which he never would be. Cultural and linguistic diversity. If you ever went into Josh's classroom, you would have seen a flag from pretty much every country in the world. And he embraced everybody. He would welcome you into his classroom and offer you a hot cup of tea that he would be brewing on his little teapot that he would have had in his classroom. He's a product of our Prince Edward Island French immersion system. His French was impeccable. It was amazing how fluent he was with the language. He spoke Czech, I think. He spoke Chinese.
Mandarin.
I still remember one day I came in and I had this, we were coming in, there was a young Chinese kid that came into our office and he was petrified. New school, new environment, didn't know the language. Who walks in but Josh Underhay? And Josh starts speaking Chinese and the kid was immediately put at ease. But Josh just had that ability to welcome people, to open people, and to use his cultural and his linguistic gifts in order to welcome people. In terms of education, there was no one more passionate about learning than Josh. And he worked in grade 1 at Spring Park Elementary. He worked in grade 7 with me at Stone Park, and he ended up in grade 7, I believe, at Birchwood after the fact as well, too. But the common denominator in all those things was the energy, enthusiasm that Josh brought to his work. And it was, I've often said I don't know anyone like Josh Underhay. And I say that respectfully because there really was no one who had that balance of energy, passion, love of people. And he brought that all together into one package. And it was very unique. And lastly, but certainly not least, his love of music. Josh was a member, I can't remember the exact name, Count and the Cuban Cocktail, I think was the band that he used to play in. He played the trumpet. He readily would have played at various school functions. He started a school choir that he got going here at the school as well, too. So when you look at the overall character of this man, and when you link it to what we are actually trying to do here today, it certainly gives me a great deal of pride. And I think it's the most fitting recognition that we could get for someone like Josh to come in and to recognize this portion of an active transportation for which he so strongly advocated over the course of his time here on the island. And I hope that we can fully support it here tonight, and I will certainly be embracing a wholehearted yes behind this motion. So thank
You'll
you
be
for your
calling the
time.
question.
Question called.
No, Counselor, yeah, no, can you let him speak?
No, he's the chair.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to thank Councillor Beck for bringing this forward, putting this to committee. Throughout this process, you've showed your enthusiasm and how passionate you were to get this pathway, multi-use path, renamed. So if it passes tonight, I believe that this will be like the inaugural naming of a pathway for the city of Charlottetown. We've named streets, but we haven't named pathways, so.
Yeah.
Let's go to the vote. But
Yeah,
I'll
no,
ask Mr. Beck.
it will pass, but just to follow Counselor Beck, I first met him in 2018 when I was running for the third time. And we sat down and went over his active transportation pathway plan. And I believe he presented it to council at the time, 214 to 218, presented it to the province. Anyways, I used that plan for my at-the-door questions and answers. And then when I was elected, there was an effort to name the pathway after we started the construction as the Josh Underhay active transportation pathway, but there wasn't an appetite for it, but I believe it's there tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to the Deputy Mayor Yankoff.
I think at the time there wasn't an appetite because we didn't have a policy, and now we have one. And not only is it an awesome and amazing thing, and I thank Councillor Beck for bringing this forward, I most definitely will be supporting it. So kudos to you, Councillor Beck, for bringing this forward. He was a terrific individual.
Questions called? All in favor? 6-0. Okay, thank you. We got another resolution? Go ahead, sir.
Your Worship, resolution number 3, moved by Councillor Trevor McKinnon and seconded by Councillor Norman Beck. Let it be resolved the council endorses the vision of upgrading cycle infrastructure in school bus routes to help Charlottetown students cycle safely to school, and requests that staff work in partnership with schools on funding proposals for infrastructure upgrades. And the council supports staff submitting a funding application to the Green Municipal Fund's Safe and Active School Routes program. And further, that the mayor and the CEO are hereby authorized to execute standard contracts and agreements to implement this resolution.
Councillor Matard and Deputy Mayor Yankoff.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Councillor Beck, for those kind words and acknowledgement of Josh and the impact that he had on the community, the people, and obviously the biking community. And it kind of leads us into this next one. So I certainly don't want to take away from what we've just discussed there in the way of just looking at this particular resolution. But I do have a couple of questions that I just need maybe some clarification on to the chair. And my understanding is, the city is sought some funding in regard to the Safe and Active School Routes program. And as a result of that, a number of areas have been identified, one of which is Fitzroy Street. And when I look at Fitzroy Street and compare maybe to some of the others that are on the list, I know that Fitzroy Street, back in 2018 and early around November or sometime in the summer of 2018, there was already a proposal done to do a bike path on there. And although I think it might have been met with a lot of enthusiasm and positivity, but I also think it was met with some concern around that because that is a very challenging road, as we know. So my question kind of goes more because it does indicate here that Fitzroy Street has been identified as the first priority for installation. So it leads me to believe that we are planning to do some sort of installation on Fitzroy Street. And if so, just drawing back on that 2018, I was not here at the time. However, I was campaigning to be successful in City Council in 2018. So I did have an opportunity to go door to door, and I did hear some concerns and also obviously some great praise of that as well. So I don't want to paint that this is all in a negative light. So I guess what I'm looking for is, as we move forward, and if Fitzroy Street I don't know if it's considered right from the bottom of Joe Giz Park and all the way straight down to the very bottom here by the provincial government buildings. What is the plan for addressing that and some of those challenges around that? And is there going to be like community consultations? Is there going to be some feedback that is going to be able to be provided, and what that may look like, or what may be piloted, or what may not work? Because I'm sure there's already information from the 2018 report, if I understood correctly. So maybe you could just speak to that a little bit. And again, it aligns with with the school, what they call it, the school bus program, I think they were doing, which I heard was a huge success this year. And of course, we want to keep that going, but we also want to make sure that we provide safe routes for people to travel. So, certainly supportive of that, but also addressing what might present itself on Fitzroy. And not to say the other streets don't have their own challenges, but I think Fitzroy Street is one that is likely to cause a little bit more concern. So thank you.
Councillor
Or to the
McKinnon?
chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Your
Want to stand there,
Worship.
buddy? Or can you?
I'll defer this to Manager Jessica. Thank you.
Yeah, just before we defer it, we have to get an extension, so I need someone to move. Councillor Ramsey, Deputy Mayor Yankoff, all in favor? Okay. Okay.
Very good. Thank you very much for the question, Councillor Matart. We do have access to all of the consultation materials from 2018, 2019. Of course, that was before my and Jessica's time here at the city. So we have all of the records of public comments that have been sent. We will be putting in this year's capital budget a proposal for active transportation funding that would cover Fitzroy Street and a number of other priorities identified in the active transportation plan, which is also currently before committee and will probably come to council next month. Approving this motion tonight does not guarantee that Fitzroy Street is going to happen. Approving this motion tonight simply states support for our application to the Green Municipal Fund. We have done a pre-application, and they have invited us to submit a full application, saying that we do likely fit within the criteria for this grant funding. And part of the criteria is that we have existing relationships with schools, which we do have through the bike bus program, and that we will work with those schools collaboratively to engage and to work on infrastructure that are going to help facilitate those trips to school. And the community has identified Fitzroy Street as the greatest barrier in currently getting to school, and that does align with the analysis that has been done not only in 2018 and 2019, but more recently in the active transportation plan. Fitzroy Street is the best option for an east-west connection between the Confederation Trail and Victoria Park, connecting across the downtown. There is no other good alternative route unless we start to look at quite dramatically changing the parking situation on Kent Street or doing major upgrades to intersections across Grafton Street. I could expand further upon that, but Fitzroy is a low-traffic, slow-speed street that currently allows a great east to west connection, but not a great west to east connection, and that's what this project would want to enable. We have looked at quick build approaches rather than higher cost, sort of permanent hardscaped infrastructure approaches. So we could test out a protected bike lane for 2 years with modular concrete blocks, flex posts to make it a lower cost initial build, have it in place for a few years, and then if it is proven to work and be effective, then we can convert it to a hardscaped infrastructure in future. That's one of the top key priorities, but should we receive the funding through the federal Safe and Active Routes to School program, then that could be applied towards any of the projects identified here or others identified through the consultation process of working with schools, and that would augment city funding that you all allocate through the capital budget. So I hope that answers the question.
Okay, Deputy?
Thank you. Councillor McKinnon, is it normal practice for us to have a resolution to endorse a vision for a funding application? And would it not be, staff applies for various funding applications throughout the year, and then if they're successful in getting it, which environment and sustainability are notorious for being amazing at getting funding, would it not then be more prudent for it to be back to us as a resolution once funding was received with more of a plan going forward? I mean, I'm in total support of the vision, but are we supposed to support visions? I don't know. I'm just asking. Thank you.
And Councillor McKinnon, just to give a little history, the deputy, Councillor Ramsey, Councillor Drawn, we were around the table back in 2018, 2019. And I think, Deputy, you attended some of the neighborhood meetings on Fitzroy Street. That's where the Josh Underhay pathway came from. We switched the funding from Fitzroy Street to the Josh Underhay active transportation pathway, which is a huge success. The issues, as I think Anna told me, one of the most vocal opponents to it lived on Fitzroy Street, but has moved now to West Royalty and has said to Anna and I think Jessica, it was a wrong decision. It was it was not the right way to go. We should have went with the pathway. Again, I'm with the deputy. Endorse means that this means everything goes ahead. And with the new procurement bylaw, if we put it all in the package for the budget, it doesn't come back to council, we won't be voting on it because it will be part of money that was budgeted for and that we don't have to view it here at council. I just wanted to add that to history because I was around the table. I know Jessica wasn't there. It was Ramona Doyle and some of her staff that were there. And Councillor Duran, I think you remember some of the conversations that took place in this chamber. Sorry, Councillor McKinnon, did you want to take it on or do you want to defer it? Okay. Go ahead there.
Just to respond to Deputy Mayor Yankov's question, one of the reasons that we're bringing this to council is that the Green Municipal Fund requires an expression of support from council before submitting, or in order to have a successful grant application, so that they know that it is likely to go ahead should they provide the funding. And that's been done for, I think, the Housing Accelerator Fund and other grants administered through FCM.
Okay, thank you very much for that, and that makes sense. And so if we're looking at the resolution, we're not supporting the examples of the five locations. We're just endorsing that you can apply for the funding, which I fully support. But I would like confirmation that before any decisions are made on what streets, it will come back through council, committee, and then council. Because I don't want all of a sudden to be starting to get calls from my residents on Fitzroy Street in panic that we've discussed their street without talking to them. So if I can get confirmation for the record that we're not endorsing any streets, just actually supporting you to apply, and that these will come back through, then 100% I'm in.
Okay, Councilor Matar, can I just get Councilor Matar?
And thank
Sorry,
you.
and then Councilor Ramsey,
echo,
you're on the list.
the deputy's comments here, because that's why I brought that up, was I think that, Fitzroy Street, it will be challenging. I think aside from, the obvious need for active transportation paths and the things that are there, and whether, residents maybe didn't want it in 2018, they may want it here in 2025. That's a long time has changed, and but there's a whole gamut of things that I heard that we need to consider for Fitzroy Street. Garbage removal, snow removal, parking on both sides, backing in and out. It's a very narrow street. There's a whole host of things that need to be considered, and my concern here today was that's what we were agreeing upon, is that Fitzroy Street would be considered one of the pathways that would lead into a redevelopment based on the thing. So if that's not the case, and we're really just supporting the vision as you indicated, giving a sense of a hat off to this initiative, to the government and their application, I can stand behind that easily. And then of course then the minutia will work itself out as to what streets apply, and maybe some of those will work and maybe some of those won't. I don't know. Is that what we're hearing? Okay. Thank you for that then.
Good. Councilor Ramsey?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. As to say, you and Councillor Drong, myself, I think Councillor, or the Deputy Mayor was here in 2018, when we had a few public meetings on Fitzroy Street. It did not go over well. And ADL was one of the big people down there, how their trucks back in. A lot of residents, because they're gonna run it right down to the government offices. And I'm just, yeah, I'm in full support of going for the funding, but I would like to be, sort of tread on Fitzroy Street, because there's a lot of people out for those meetings, your worship. They were against it, the residents and the businesses at that time, and just be careful on that one. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Good. So, 125,000 from the Green Fund. Ramona Doyle secured $1 million for Fitzroy Street. That's what it was, million. So we took that million and got one of the best pathways. Now we call it the Josh Underhay Active Transportation Pathway. Way. How to go, way. Okay, question? Questions called? All in favor? Okay, thank you, sir. Next one, you got another one? Okay, finance audit, that's your, Deputy Mayor, you're the new Deputy Finance Chair? Hold on, go ahead.
I'm not only pinch hitting for Councillor McAleer, but also in Councillor Bernard's absence. I'm
Oh,
pinch hitting for
okay.
him as well. So I'm just the third option. So Finance, Audit, and Tendering Administration Committee, we met on Tuesday, October 21st. For a special meeting, and then Wednesday, November 5th for our regular meeting. There's one resolution today for your consideration, and one reading to establish the City of Charlottetown's procurement bylaw for your consideration. If you have any questions, I will do my best to answer. Thank you.
Question? Pas de question? No questions? Okay. Well, anything in the report? The numbers, look at the numbers. How do they look to you? Jay, do you want to read it?
Your worship.
Go ahead, sir.
Finance, Audit, and Tendering Administration Resolution Number 1, moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Justin Matart. Let it be resolved, the council approve the operating budget transfer for the 2025-2026 fiscal year as follows. Transfer $35,492 within the Planning and Heritage Department operating budget to complete the implementation of the e-permitting system as per the attached documentation.
Deputy?
Thank you. And I just wanted to note, I mean, it is mentioned in the report. We're not requiring any new money. We're just reallocating money existing already in the Planning and Heritage Department budget. So this is not a new money ask, if anyone's wondering. And most of it's being covered under half anyways.
Councilman Turk, you call the question? Question's called. All those in favor? Okay, 6-0. Okay. Go ahead.
Your worship, we have a second reading of the City of Charlottetown Procurement Bylaw. To establish the City of Charlottetown Procurement Bylaw, number 2025 Procure-01, which will fulfill obligations pursuant to the provisions of the Municipal Government Act, and to inform council, staff, suppliers, and the public how the city will purchase or procure goods, services, and contracts of construction. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Charlottetown Procurement Bylaw, which was read the first time on October 28, 2025, be read a second time, and the said bylaw now be approved and adopted. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Justin Matart.
Shall I carry? Pass? Good. Ready again there, sir? Only one?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, look at that, you get away with
And
one.
then what? That's it there too.
Okay, I'll have to. You're gonna get those
Yep.
signed? Yeah. Bernard. Okay. Okay, Human Resources, Counselor Norman Beck, or is it Normal Beck? Okay, Normal. Go ahead there.
All right. The Human Resources Committee met on November 4th. Minutes of the meeting are included in your package. And just a reminder that new practice, where the recruitment update and staffing numbers are provided for information only. So if there's any other questions you have, feel free. With no resolutions and any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Deputy, you're up again. Is it you? Economic Development? No? Oh, Counselor Ramsey, Economic Development, Tourism, and Cultural Development.
Economic Development, Tourism, Culture Department met October 16th. The minutes have been in your package. We have no resolutions, and I'm pinch hitting for Councillor Bernard.
Okay.
And Councillor Twill, who's not here also. Thank you.
Any questions there, Counselor Drawn? Okay. Notice motion is going to be deferred until next month because it will have to be submitted. Is that correct there, CAO? Go ahead. No? No one can speak to it anyways. Yes, we did before. Oh, yes, it's debatable. Oh, yeah, let's not go there.
Your worship, I did speak to Councillor Twill today, who requested a deferral till he was here to.
Okay. Okay. And, well, no, it's just a notice of motion. New business, any new business, Councillor Ramsey?
None, your worship.
You sure? Motion to adjourn there, Councillor Drawn. Move. All in favor? Done.